Greetings, folks. This is Eric from Eric Hepperle Designs. Hope you all are having a good day. Today I'm going to discuss some programming issues, some programming techniques. Basically, I was taking a course, a LinkedIn Learning course by Joe Marini from, I don't know, I think it was 4 years ago or something. I was taking it last week or the week before that. And it is called Learning C#. I was learning C# as preparation for a .NET tech support interview. I did the interview and didn't hear back from them. And so I've kind of written that off for now, unless God does something different. But anyway, the point is, so I learned C# fundamentals. And it was very interesting. A lot of it's like PHP. A lot of it's like ES6, ES8, modern JavaScript without jQuery. Similar type of things. And some of it's like Python. So I thought I'd walk you through one of the code challenges I did as part of the course for building a palindrome solver. And so here's the main sort of algorithm that I ended up using. So we're importing modules. Let's see, I'm going to show you the actual, that's not it. Hold on. All right, here we go. So here's the actual code. And you can see here we're importing system and system.txt. System.txt is needed for StringBuilder, and using system is the base minimal thing that you import so that the program will work. Okay. So we're doing a class program. So I don't know if it's always required this way, because like I say, I'm new to C#. But what I've seen so far in all the examples in the course, I finished the course. What I saw in that course was that the file name and the program name pretty much usually match up. Like I said, I'm not sure they always have to match up, but that's how it's been for what I've been doing. Also, something really interesting to note, it was very difficult for me to sit and make a folder and try to put the right files in it. It seems like what I've come up with is, and he taught this in the course, but it wasn't clear that this was the absolute best way and that trying to hand write everything wasn't practical. So you want to do Control-Shift-P, that's Command-Shift-P on a Mac. So I'm on Windows, obviously. Then you would go do .NET and New Project. Now this is in 2026. You watch videos from 2024 or 2022, and the interface looks a little bit different, but this is what it looks like in 2026. .NET New Project. Hit Enter. And then you go down to Console App. Console App. You give it a name. Hit Enter. And the default directory will put it basically where it is, where you're at right now. So you can see I called mine Code Challenge Palindrome. As you can see right here, I'm putting the arrow. And with the underscore at the beginning so that it automatically sorts to the top alphabetically. And there you go. Then you just click that, or you can put it in another directory if you want. So I'm going to escape to get out of there. And so I put mine over here. Basically, I went to my README so that I would be in the root. And I didn't intend to put it in the root, but that's where it ended up going. And that's fine. And what you can see inside there, you look inside the folder, and it automatically creates a bin folder with all these files, and an OBJ folder with all these files, and a CS project file, CSPROJ. Right, so it's already got that in there. and then the program.cs. So program.cs, I think, is just basically the default name that generating a console app gives you. And that's fine, so that's what we're going to use. All right, so enough of that. Now we'll go on to how the program works. So let's get out there. Okay, so first what we do is we import the modules, like I said, system and system.text. Then we create our class, the main class program. This is basically the controller if we're talking about like a model view controller type of thing, which this really isn't that. But you can think of it that this is the main controller for everything else. And then within program, we initialize the main method. And the main method, notice that starts with a capital M. The main method initializes some variables and runs the tests. Now, maybe there's a different way or a better way or more efficient or best practice way, but this is the way that I know how to do it right now. So that's what I'm demonstrating. So what we're doing, we're creating a StringBuilder instance. So StringBuilder is basically like a wrapper for a string that has built-in methods that just a string itself doesn't have access to, if that makes sense. A vanilla string does not have access to. But when you add this, like this string, a man, a plan, a canal, Panama, if you add that in, or use that, let's say, as the input string for StringBuilder, then things like append and these kinds of to lower, let's see, like here, right down here, we're using append. So StringBuilder gives you these kinds of methods that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. All right. So there's a string. And the capacity, I believe, is like, I'm not sure if this is a code or if that's how many characters, but that's basically a limit of something. I know that doesn't sound very confident. And I don't know what it is, and it doesn't matter at this point because 200 seems to work for the test I'm doing. But so let's talk about IsPalindrome. What are we doing here? So first what we do, since we're not using a string, right? We're allowing for a phrase. So you can put in a string, but you can also put in a phrase. A phrase is characterized by two or more strings separated by a space, by one or more spaces, right? Okay. So what we want to do first is we want to normalize, or sometimes they call it sanitize, but this isn't for the purpose of. Usually, when you say sanitize, that's because you want to prevent SQL injection and stuff like that. This is so that we have all the extraneous characters that aren't letters or numbers removed. And so we're going to remove punctuation and we're going to remove white spaces. And the car type gives us access to is punctuation and is white space. So what we're doing is we're saying it's public static. We're going to return a boolean, so true or false. IsPalindrome is the name that I gave the function. String, I don't know if it matters if this is lowercase here or uppercase, because I've tried it with both and it didn't break, with either, so whatever. Notice here, lowercase string. You notice here, uppercase string. Yeah, I don't know what the difference is. There you go. But so we're telling it that it's a string, and we're giving it the argument. We're giving it the name, the handle, the string, the str. All right. So then we inside the function, we go ahead and build a string builder. We initialize a string builder with no inputs, right? No variables, no arguments. That's what I'm trying to say. And then we loop through and remove the disallowed characters. So luckily in C#, as in PHP, for each is available. So we can just loop through each character in the string. And if it's punctuation, so actually what we're doing here is we're doing a negative check. If it's not punctuation and it's not white space, then we're going to append whatever that character is to the string builder. And we're going to convert it to lower so that in the end, we're going to have the full string, or we're going to have the full phrase, but minus punctuation and minus spaces and all lowercase. And so this automatically, if it's punctuation, it just ignores it, right? So it doesn't do anything. All right, so then when we get out of that loop, we've got this string builder here. Okay, so now string builder should be, in this case, it should be all this minus the commas, minus the spaces, and all lowercase. And then if you go, then I'm going to go and say string s equals sb to string. Why am I doing that? Because a string builder is not a string. String builder is actually an object where the actual string is one of that object's properties. And then, so what I'm doing here is I'm actually basically casting the string builder to a string so I can work with it. All right. So now we're going to do left index. We're going to set that at 0. That means, so this is going to work, this is going to be 2 pointers, and we're going to work with coming from the left and coming from the right. So we're going to start at the very beginning of the string, and we're going to run a different pointer coming from the very end of the string. And as we go through the loop, we increment the left index and we decrement the right index. Here's the thing that I didn't quite understand until I worked with AI, and AI said, this is what you need to do. And then I tested it and ran through like a truth table manually. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this does work. So this is just basically sort of an algorithmic thinking. If you remember this pattern, then you don't have to work out why it works every single time. So the pattern is while left is less than right, if the left character doesn't equal the right character, then we early return false and we know it's not a palindrome. Otherwise, we keep testing. Otherwise, we increment the left index. So in other words, we move over to the right one on the left side, and we move over to the left one on the right side. And eventually, if we don't early return at any point because it's not a match, we get to the middle and it's all a match, and then we return true because that means it's a palindrome. And then down here, the only other thing that I have is basically a function that can handle, well, let me explain this. So IsPalindrome is going to return boolean, and that makes it clean. It's just going to say true or false, and that lets us do a lot of stuff with it. And so I'm wrapping that in handle maybe palindrome. Okay. Angels keep you safe.
Angels keep you safe.
That was my wife. She's off on a play date with her friend. All right. So handle maybe palindrome. What it's going to do is it's going to take in the string. It's going to run the IsPalindrome. And then it's going to basically give the console output. It's going to print the message, in other words. Another thing we could do here, what I'm not doing, but we could do at this point in this function, is we could write something to a database. We could interface with an API. We're not doing anything like that. We're just printing out simple messages. So Awesome. So that's a 15-minute timer. So I'm going to wrap this up real quick. Let me show you how it works. Once again, we've got 3 methods here. If we go to the outline, we can see that clearly. Again, this is VS Code. So here's the program. We've got main is the main method. Then IsPalindrome is the boolean method, and then handle maybe palindrome is the method that really does all the heavy lifting as far as output and stuff, right? Okay, good. So here's my test. So we're initializing StringBuilder with Amana Plana Canal Panama, which, if you know anything, this is a validated, verified, if you've ever seen this before, you know this is a palindrome. This is a palindrome sentence, phrase, however you want to look at it. And so what I'm doing is I'm testing the StringBuilder value, casting it to a string first, and testing that. Then I'm testing Madam, because that is a known palindrome also. Then I'm testing a different version of Madam with an E on the end, which should fail. Then I'm testing Carlot, which has nothing to do with palindrome at all. That's obviously not a palindrome. So you can see we're doing 4 tests right in a row, and you can call them unit tests if you want. And then now we're going to run it. So I've already build, but you want to make sure you build it first. So I do .NET build. Doesn't hurt to do it again. Make sure it's succeeded. And then we go clear.NET run. Clear is going to get rid of all this stuff here, which kind of clogs up the space. We don't really need to see that right now. Doesn't hurt anything, but visually it kind of is clutter. So we're going to clear that out of the way, and then we're just going to run the program from scratch. And so as you can see, this top one prints, yes, the string Amana Plana Canal Panama is a palindrome. And then Madam, it prints, yep, the string Madam is a palindrome. And then when we go to Madam with an E on the end, it says, nope, it's not a palindrome. And Carlot is not a palindrome also. But what if we take that E off the end and run it again? Do you think it's going to be a palindrome? Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't have to rebuild that. Wonder why that is. But there you go. So now it says, yep, the string Madam with a capital M is a palindrome. And why is that? That's because we are converting everything to a lowercase before we test it. So the string that gets tested down here in the while loop that checks if it's a palindrome, that string is all lowercase, and so it's basically going to be the same as this right here, right? This one here with the uppercase, you can't see my arrow now. Okay, why is that? Okay, this one here with the uppercase is going to look exactly the same as this one here with the lowercase. So that's palindrome according to that. And let's see, can we look up some other common palindromes? Whatever, I don't know. Looking for my, I don't see it. Let's just do here. List of palindrome phrases. Palindromic phrases. That's interesting. Okay. Here's one that it says should be a palindrome. So if we go handle maybe palindrome, pop this guy in there, make sure we put our semicolon on the end because that's required in CSharp. And then let's see. What we should be expecting is after this nope, Carlot is not a palindrome, we should see, yep, the string and this new able was I, ear, I saw, elbow. That one should be palindrome. And there we go. So we can pretty much say it looks like it's working. Oh, this one looks fun. So just so you can see, this is what I'm looking at right here. Just a list of English palindromic phrases. It's on Wikipedia. And this one says Toyota. I love Toyota. Toyota truck. Toyota Tacomas are awesome. Maybe you may disagree. You can tell me about it in the comments. And there we go. And so I'll run that. And then we have, yep, the string, a Toyota's a Toyota. A Toyota is a palindrome. Oh, that's crazy. Very cool. So I hope this has been educational. Again, this is basically a very low level thing. I'm showing you what I learned. And also, forgot what this is called, but they have this in Python also, where you put the $sign up front. And they call it an F string in Python, but I think it's mostly called an interpolated string or a string literal in different languages. So yeah, in a lot of languages, it's like, back like this. Let me see, Control D to select both those. And it'll be like that in JavaScript, and I think Perl and PHP also use that structure. But yeah, in Python and in CSharp, it looks like it uses this structure. And so here's something else interesting to note before I let you go. In order to do a literal curly braces in your printed output in the console, you have to put triple curly braces, because two curly braces basically, what's the word I'm looking at, is the structure for escaping literal curly braces. I don't know, it's kind of confusing, but you can see right there. You just got to make sure you put 3, because if you just put 2, then it just puts curly brace S instead of interpolating the variable. Okay, again, hope you've learned something here. This has been Eric with Eric Hepperle Designs. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this video if you enjoyed it. If you think it will help somebody, share it to them. Thumbs up, all the good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. Bam.